Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another webinar. My name is Phil Thompson. I'm going to introduce our other host in just a moment. And we just want to say that this webinar is brought to you exclusively by streamingchurch.tv. We are a company that serves churches exclusively for over 20 years now. I think we started in 2001. And our goal for this webinar and all these monthly webinars that we do is to provide you some resources for you and your ministry. And we specialize in streaming, but because many of us on this team have been involved in church work and ministry for years, we have a wealth of information. And so we want to share it with you. So we are going to talk about this webinar and how you can unlock your free Christmas promotion toolkit free. We'll talk about how you can get that at the very end of this webinar. So stick around for that. And also we've got some Q&A at the end as well. We have we'll answer your questions and you can actually type them in the chat. You can type them in the chat anytime. And most likely we will answer those questions at the end of our webinar. And the webinar is only about 30 minutes long, so you won't be here for long. We're also going to record this webinar as well. So if you miss some of it or whatever, you can get the recording. We'll tell you how to do that at the end of our webinar. So unlock your free Christmas promotion toolkit. That's the name of our webinar here. And let's just jump in. Before we jump into it, let's introduce some of the people that we have here, our host, Mr. Steve Lacey. Tell us about yourself.
Good morning. I'm Steve Lacey. I'm the founder of streamingchurch.tv.
All right. Did you get your mouse working this morning?
I am struggling with that still.
Oh boy.
It is, yeah, it's my favorite. It's a thumb wheel thing, actually.
Yeah.
Well, I've had it for years. I love it, but not right now.
You're a degreed engineer, so I'm sure you will figure that out by the time the webinar is done. All right. Steve is our founder and CEO of streamingchurch.tv. He's got a heart for churches. But let's introduce Mr. Michael Gray. Michael, how are you?
Great. How are y'all?
Doing well. Except for Steve, he can't get his mouse working.
Yeah, well, that's part of technology. Sometimes it works and sometimes we have to find another way. So I am on staff with the team here. I do customer support and marketing, and largely have a marketing background, but as well I've been in ministry for not as long as Phil, but a long time. And I've filled every role except for senior pastor to this point.
All right. Well, we can help you with that. We'll find a church that you can lead. How's that sound?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right, Michael. Thank you so much. Michael's going to be really talking mostly here during the webinar, but I'll introduce myself. I'm the executive director of streamingchurch.tv. And I've been doing ministries since the late 1970s. Everybody teases me that I'm old, and I guess I am, but I'm trying to look young. And I really do love helping churches use technology. It's just fun to do that, and that's part of what I do here. And all of us here understand the challenges of technology, so that's what we do. So let's talk a little bit as we prepare about this webinar, this toolkit for Christmas. There are some key stats about church attendance, especially during the Christmas season. So first of all, I'll just mention that for most of us out there, your attendance during the Christmas season is very likely to actually double. People are very open to going to church around the Christmas time. And so there's a real good chance that your attendance is going to double. So you need to be prepared for that. Steve?
So 66% of women will come as opposed to 56% of men. So I guess the women prefer Christmas over the men.
Well, I think at least here in the United States, you will see generally more women that will urge their families to go to church. And you'll see that, and those stats do bear out. Older adults, 68% of older adults are more likely to attend. Again, I think it has a lot to do with tradition.
Yeah, and 53% of younger adults are less likely. It kind of follows the trend with the church today. The younger adults are more likely to be nuns as opposed to the older adults.
They're likely to be nuns. Is that what you just said?
They are. NONES is
Oh,
when
you
you
don't
mark
mean
it
somebody
down.
wearing a habit.
No, not
It's a
anybody
different
wearing
kind
a
of
habit.
nun.
All
Yes,
right.
when they're filling out the
The word,
surveys, what is
Yeah.
your religious affiliation? They put none.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, and I
That kind
think
of nun.
this
It's
is
a
why
larger
this,
group now.
yeah, this is why this webinar and the things that we're going to talk about, especially Michael's going to talk about, is so important because there's a way to reach these younger people. But we'll get into that in a little bit. 57% are likely to attend if invited. So this is key stat. This again ties into what we're going to talk about today. There's a good chance that if you invite somebody and you do it right, and we've got some tools here that can help you, there's a good chance that they're likely to attend if you invite them. So keep that in mind.
You know that as you're going out to invite, you have a better than a 50-50 chance that they're going to show up, which is pretty good.
That's a pretty good chance. That's good numbers. I'll take over 50% anytime.
Yeah, depending on, I invite people to all kinds of different things, and I don't have quite those ratios.
Yeah, they don't come when you invite them, but for church they might. All right, and 40% of churchgoers are open to inviting others to church online. Now, we don't talk a lot about this today, but I want to say this, and you guys can jump in as well. If you're streaming your services, this is a great opportunity to reach people. And what people will do if they're thinking about visiting your church is they're going to check you out online. And so if you're not streaming, you should be streaming. And there's a good chance 40% churchgoers are open. So what do we mean by that is that, if your members, your people that attend your church, remind them, hey, we're streaming online. If you do stream online, and you should, because that's a great opportunity for people to check you out. It's not going to be, when I say check you out, check the actual church services out, the style, the sermon, the music, those kind of things are a great opportunity for people to see what you're all about. And if they like what they see, they may show up in person.
Yeah, and this is the lowest risk way to get, it's probably why that stat has gotten better over the years, the one above it, is inviting people to church online is very easy, very low threatening, very low barrier to entry. You don't have to, you don't have to get dressed. You don't have to get in awkward situations at the front door or not knowing where to go and stuff like that. It's just inviting people to church online is a very easy way to do it. And I think, Mike, as we get into this thing, we're going to show you'll have some tools for that as well.
Yeah. All right. So let's keep rolling here. Again, when we talk about effective promotion, it's very critical. So when you're promoting what you're doing, it's very critical during the Christmas season. The holiday season is really a time when people are much more open to hearing about faith and about spirituality. They really are more open. So it's a great opportunity here to get your ducks in order and to be able to really invite people and promote what you're doing. It's not wrong to promote what you're doing. You've got some life, you've got some answers, you've got some solutions for people's problems. So let people know about it. The holiday season is a time when people are more likely to bring their families and their friends to church. People are traveling, right? People coming and visiting each other, sometimes long distances. Again, a great opportunity to bring people to your church. And then, of course, another thing and this is something I have found over the years with young people, we're talking about young people less likely to come to church. Well, the holiday season is one of the times when people, especially young people, are actually looking for ways to connect with their community and to give. So be sure to have something like that going on in your ministry. Have opportunities for people to share, have opportunities for people to give back to the community. We're not just talking money here. We're talking about serving food, food pantries, lots of different things you can do as a ministry. It's very, and you can promote this and people, they get involved. They want to connect, right, guys?
Absolutely.
So when people are most open to an invitation, so we're talking about, promoting Christmas here, but there's there's other opportunities as well. New year, brand new year, new start, right? New year, new me. And We see that.
So there's
happening,
actually
right?
5 of those, Phil, and
You want me to
the
punch
new
them up?
year is the new year is the one that I think everybody connects with the most, because everybody needs to lose weight or whatever it is, but along with that is they need to get themselves right with God, or they need to connect deeper with God. Next is Easter, and what's after that, Phil?
Mother's Day,
Why is Mother's Day so big now?
because women like to go to church.
Well, and moms invite the family. That's actually the same reason that Christmas is so big. Is mom wants to be together with the family, and she usually drives the machine for everybody to be there and have their outfits all matching and whatever that may be.
There you go. Yeah.
Back to school, same thing as New Year. All right, let's get the kids in church. We need to get connected deeper to God as a family, and whatever that momentum. It's another time of year when you should be promoting and reaching out to people who are trying to discover your church.
Yeah. And it's kind of getting back in the routine, right? Summer's over.
Yep.
And so people are getting back in the routine. And so going to church is part of that routine, of course.
Yep.
And then there's Christmas, as we're going to talk about today. Yeah,
and that's what we're going to talk about today. But I wanted to highlight these 5 because what we're going to talk about here with Christmas, you just change the words and the graphics, and you can apply everything that we're talking about to these other 4 yearly times when people are most open to accepting an invite to church.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on here a little bit. Let's start. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about this. What is start with the begin here document? What's the begin here document? How do we start?
So we have built a Christmas promotional toolkit, and that's what we're really talking about. It's a Christmas promotional toolkit. It's got all these tools in it, but I didn't want to confuse you, so we put a document in the folder that says start here, and it explains how the tool works. So there is a folder called pre-planning tools, and you would go to that and begin after you've walked through the start here document. Go to the pre-planning tools, and in the pre-planning tools there's a Christmas Eve campaign plan and timeline that we have done for you, as well as a Christmas service promotional comprehensive pre-planning checklist. That title's so long I got tongue-tied.
Okay. So people, I guess we're going to give people access to this at the very end of the webinar, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I characterized this thing in a recent podcast, and you can kind of correct me if I'm wrong. I'm envisioning church staff coming together, they're having a meeting, and whoever's running the staff goes, guys, we got to think about Christmas. And they're going, it's not even Halloween yet. What are we doing about Christmas? They go, we got to start Christmas now. And this toolkit and they go, well, where do we begin? And where do we start? And what do we do? And what are we going to do? And this toolkit, I think, is that playbook and plus the tools for how to accomplish a successful Christmas promotion so that you can take advantage of your more than 100% increase in attendance on Christmas. This is that thing that as everybody looks around and goes, well, what's the first step, or what are we going to do? This is what this toolkit's all about. Is that not a bad characterization of this?
I think it's great. And for me, as we built these tools, they're everything that I wished I could have had, just laid out at my feet in order to put on a big Christmas event and carry it off and make it really successful.
Yeah, good. All right, so I got a bunch of bullet points here. What do I do with these?
All right.
We got pre-planning tools.
Let them rip.
All right.
So this is important. If you've never done this before each of the 5 big times a year where you're going to do a series that really targets people who are trying to find your church, back that up 30 days or a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and do an internal attendee focused sermon series where you're helping with the vision of people in your church becoming inviters. In most churches, everyone expects the pastor to be the one that's driving people in the door, but that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Pastor only impacts so many people in their daily lives. Multiply that times hundreds of people who are brothers and sisters and family and work friends and other friends that they have access to. They have to become inviters before your big seasons are really going to be ballooning as big as they could be. So within the package, there is a sermon series, outline ideas, or 3 outlines for a series that explains how to follow what's in the Bible and how to become inviters.
Okay. All right. So let's begin promoting Christmas services to the public during internal sermon series. What's that's all about?
Right. So during that series, you're pastor or whoever you have is going to hold up the invitation and say, hey, we've got this printed invitation for you. It's so easy. All you're going to have to do is hand it to somebody, but you want the digital advertising to start 2 to 4 weeks ahead of those being passed out. That way, when their friends and family see that invitation with your matching graphic that you've been running on social media and online, they're going to say, oh, I saw that. And that caught my attention. And now you're reinforcing that with a physical invite in somebody's hand. So you're priming the pump to say yes when somebody asks a friend or a family member to come to church.
Because they've already seen it online or somewhere.
Hopefully 7 to 11 times. That's the marketing mandate. If we can let somebody see it 7 to 11 times before somebody makes the ask, the chances of them saying yes go way up.
Okay. All right. Again, we're talking about this toolkit that we're going to make available for free for people at the very end of this webinar, which is just a few minutes from now.
Yep.
Whole list of marketing tools.
I'm not going to pull that list out, but I'm going to read a few of the tools. I talked about the sermon series, the outlines for that. There is a social media and Google paid ads. There's the wording and copy that you might use. I want to say all of these documents, everything within the package are suggestions, they're thought starters. They're obviously not customized to match your specific community. So you just take them, shape them how it looks best for your community. You got 10 tips to make your church online Christmas invitation effective. Church online Christmas service checklist. Social media and I already said that. Christmas promotional video transcripts. Christmas invitation and flyer copy. There are graphics to go with that copy, so you can create those invitations that your people are going to pass out. 21 social media promotion ideas for your Christmas event. Christmas promotional emails ideas. There's a press release. There is promotional artwork checklist to remind you all of the things you might need that artwork for, and social media post example ideas. So you are 100% free to use the graphics that we have provided and all of these tools. You can use them as is. You can copy and paste them, or you can reshape the words and make them fit your audience better.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of stuff that we're going to be giving people. So
it is, and that's not all.
Yeah. So preparing for Christmas sermon series. I don't know. Do we need to cover this real briefly?
Briefly, because there's a component I didn't talk about yet.
Okay.
This didn't shift for our church until the senior pastor mandated. He gave every staff member 3 invitations, and we literally had to report back who we gave them to. So he forced us to lead the way. And until that happened, our church didn't make a big shift towards becoming a church of inviters. They were counting on the pastor and the pastor's staff to do all the inviting. which is bad math. Multiply times everybody in the seats, and now you've got good math. That's the people. Everyone has to be inviters, but your audience, your attenders, aren't going to follow you unless you're doing it first. So we
Right.
did, and pastor from the stage said, "Hey, this invitation is for this person," and and then followed up on, "Yes, I invited my people," and so then your people will become inviters, and it becomes something that's natural.
Yeah, absolutely. Showcase invitations and social media timeline. What does that mean?
Well, it goes back a little bit to what I talked about in that your social media, your digital media, your anything that reaches out to people outside the building should start during the sermon series or before the Christmas invite season, so that we get that 7 to 11. So you're churning out daily or every other day posts saying, "Join us for this event," and you've created an event on all the platforms that allows events, and you're filling every digital notch that you can with content that is inviting people, telling them about this Christmas service or Christmas Eve service, whatever it is that your church does, in a really big way to bring people who maybe are far from God or have stepped away from God or haven't been in church for a while back to a giant Christmas service.
Yeah. And as we know, people need to, as you've mentioned, people need to hear this and see this stuff over and over and over again until we're sick of it, but they are just starting to catch on to it. And
Yes.
that's what I learned that in radio years ago, playing the same song over and over again. And then finally, when we were sick of it, people would go, "Hey, what's that song?" All right. So I know it's just human nature, right?
It's
human
true.
nature.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about clear goals and objectives. So you have goals, you have objectives. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, if you don't have a plan, what happens?
Plan to fail?
Plan to fail. That's correct. So have a plan. Shoot for something. If you don't have a target, you are definitely not going to hit it. And you don't know if you did hit it if you don't talk about it ahead of time.
Yeah.
So what are some goals that we might set for a Christmas Eve service?
I don't know. Number of people showing up? I don't know.
Number of invitations would be a key one. I think.
Another great one. Number of invitations, number of people. How about number of people who take a next step? Say normally we only have 5. Let's shoot it for a goal of 20 or whatever that may be. What other goals?
And by next step, you mean not just showing up, but actually taking action on the message?
Our pastor always asked them to, "Here's what I want you to do this week," kind of thing. And so we always had a goal on how many people we wanted to take that next step. And obviously we wanted 100%, but that's not reality. We had some data and we said, okay, if we're getting 10, we want 30 for Christmas Eve.
Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. Anything else we want to move on here?
Well, no, just whatever those goals are, then, make sure you make it clear to the team that what you're doing. But Phil mentioned something on this next slide that are outreach objectives. So he mentioned like a food kitchen. I know we've gone and cleaned people's yards who are unable to clean it themselves. Anything that serves your neighbors, your neighborhood, and make that public. Talk about it on all of your digital channels and your print channels and say, "Hey, come join us for this great event where we're serving our community. We're giving them food, we're giving them clothing, we're mowing their lawn, we're cleaning their house." There's just so many different things that you can do that will actually attract a younger attender in many cases because they're drawn to opportunities to serve.
Yeah, that is so true. Very true. Encourage your staff to define church's specific goals.
Yeah, and this is just getting the team on board. Have them help pick some goals for their departments, for their segment of ministry, but as well be part of the discussion on what the big goal is. We don't just mandate and say, I want 10,000 people in a church of 100. You know,
Right.
no, that's not going to be. We won't fit anybody. You know,
Sure.
we'll do 20 services that weekend. Get
Yeah.
the team's input, find out what they're passionate about, and draw them into what are we doing here? We're inviting your friends and family and loved ones. So, what's the goal for your area?
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here. Your comprehensive promotional plan. So this is all part of the package, the toolkit that we're going to give away here in a few minutes.
Yes, yes, it is. There's steps to create the plan, and that is in the start here document. Begin here.
Okay.
Okay. Begin here, start here. You'll see that document, and it's one of the first things you'll see when you go into the folder.
Yeah. Specific steps. Yeah.
Yeah. And then your marketing timelines, multi-channel. I shouldn't have to say this in this era, but you have to be creative. Think about some other avenues. So you have social media, and social media is expanding channels all the time. There's a lot of different channels, and some that you wouldn't think of. You know, you can publish post type content to YouTube. It doesn't have to be a video. It can say, come to our event, and you put the information to come to your event. Vimeo, YouTube, all of the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, there's more. Use all of those, but think outside the lines. I love the book Purple Cow. I don't know if you guys ever read that.
Yeah.
And that's thinking outside the box. You know, when everyone goes to mailers, how many get, you know, a trash can full of Christmas mailers every year? If you're in a large city or a city, you just get a pile of them. So don't do that. Go where people aren't going. Go to radio. Go to TV. Go to billboards. Think outside the box. Be a purple cow, not a regular cow. Because that's where you'll attract the most attention. What do you think, Steve?
No, I agree. I mean, it's Seth Godin is the Purple Cow guy. It's an oldie,
Mr.
but
Purple
a goodie.
Cow, yeah.
It's an oldie, but a goodie.
Yeah, it's a good book. All right, let's. Tips on customizing the toolkit to fit your church unique style and message. Again, that's all contained in what we're giving away here.
It is, and you'll see that, you know, there are, you know, for the video invitation scripts or transcription or scripts. There's traditional, there's modern, and you can reshape any of those. And a super easy tip: any of those that you kind of like, take them and copy them. Take them over to ChatGPT and or Bard. I've been using Bard a lot lately because it gives me a little bit more detail and more information. Go over there and paste it and tell it to give you 5 examples that are different than the one you're putting in. Give it some flavor. Say, I want it for a more liturgical church, or this kind of church, or we're this kind of church. And it'll just churn out that reshaping of that message for you and really fit it to your church's style. All of this, the graphics, you know, if you don't see any graphics in there that fit your church's style, there are millions of free graphics on the internet. Some of those you see were even generated by Adobe's AI tools. There's so many ways to get graphics now. There's no reason not to get one that really matches your church's style. Okay. And if you don't know that style, begin that discovery process. You need to know what your church's style and flavor is that draws people to you, and they see it and say, yep, that looks like us.
All right, good deal. All right, let's move on here because we are starting to run out of time. Social media and digital channels. Yeah, you were going through
We
this, the
kind of
world of
covered
social
that.
media. All right,
We
we've
did
covered
kind of
that.
cover that.
All
I
right.
did have one piece there. I kind of alluded to this, but when you're showing that invitation to the audience, make sure that that graphic that they're showing on that handout, that ticket, that postcard, whatever you're making the invite, that's what you're promoting on social media, so that when someone sees it, you know, a neighbor's handing it to the neighbor says, "Oh, I've seen that online." So that recognition is there, and then they're just going to say, "Hey, I'd like you to be my guest," and you'll be surprised at the turnout you'll get.
All right. And strategies for effective use.
Well, I kind of covered that as well. We're
Okay.
talking. We talked about shaping it to your audience. Use the templates. There is a whole list of invite language that would go on your invitations,
Right.
and
And
then just
this is a
match it to
blank
the graphic.
This is a blank
Yes,
template. The reason this is on here is so people can see, hey, you can put content
yeah,
inside this blank template.
absolutely. And then flip it over and put the details of your event on the back of it. That's your invite, or
Yeah.
you know, just match the graphic to your audience, and then find the words that you want to say and
Yeah.
marry them together, and you're ready to go. So we're talking about copy and paste,
Yeah.
and you're ready to print and go full tilt into the biggest Christmas service you've ever had.
All right. Sounds good. Something we need to definitely talk a little bit about, and that is measuring and adapting everything. So if you don't measure it, you can't manage it, right?
That's true. Very true. And we talked about this earlier. Set clear goals and measure it and manage it. I forgot a story I was going to lead off with, and this kind of fits here. When I was back in the corporate world, I did marketing for several states, and we did these quarterly or biannual events, big events, driving a lot of traffic. And this is actually to purchase products. So I did a big event for all of these states and all of the places in the states. And after that weekend, my boss called me in, and he literally used the word, "We're going to sit down and shut the door. We need to have a come to Jesus meeting." And so he goes, "Hey, I know you, and you did not pull this off very well." So from that, I accepted the challenge. And some of these things that I'm bringing to you now are from that time when I failed miserably at doing an event and figured out. So I measured. So from measurement, here was our goal. Our goal was double attendance on Christmas, let's say. And you didn't hit the goal. Okay, then go back and adapt the plan. What would you need to change or adjust to hit that goal next year? If we changed it and we went with radio instead of TV, maybe that would do it. And I'm talking about a lot of different paid marketing avenues. You don't have to use paid marketing. There are a lot of free places that you can list your event and market it. But consider you may want to do, I don't think there's anything more effective than either social media or Google Ads, because you can target specifically in a perimeter. So you can say, I want everybody within 20 miles of my church to see this ad. And I only want those people within 20 miles of my church to see this ad. And so they're driving traffic to people who would most likely say yes, because it's within driving distance of your church. So you're not wasting money. Literally, you can spend less than $100 on an ad for Christmas, and you will be shocked at how much traffic it'll drive to your door.
Okay, good. And so again, we just want to emphasize, once you've done this event, Christmas is over, don't forget to really look at the numbers and look at the things that Michael just talked about, the stats and what do you need to change on. And by the way, if anybody has any questions here, you can type them in on chat. Steve, did you want to say anything before we move
No,
on here?
I'm sure people are going, where do I get this thing?
Yeah, where do we get this thing? Well,
Where do you get this thing?
how do we get this free toolkit? Well, here's how you get it, folks. go to streamingchurch.tv/toolkit. streamingchurch.tv/toolkit. And that will begin. And all these things that Michael was just talking about begin here now. All these different documents can be found by going to streamingchurch.tv/toolkit. Did I get that right, guys?
You did.
Right,
and
good.
I even typed it in and it worked. So
Oh, it works. Wow. Well, that's that's a
go.
win. That's a win situation
Imagine
there.
that.
All right. All right. So that's where you get it. And if you want to hear this webinar again, we are recording it, hopefully here. Yeah, we are. And you can always send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv. You just put in the subject on the email toolkit, and we will send you the copy of today's webinar in case you want to. We'd encourage you to send it off to other people and review it a little bit and go for that. So I want to remind you, we've got lots of resources here at streamingchurch.tv. We're going to take some Q&A here in just a moment, but we have webinars that we do every month. We have a blog.streamingchurch.tv that we talk about a lot of things. Besides streaming video, we talk about other things. The Church Solutions podcast, again, it's a weekly podcast. Subscribe to it anywhere you get your podcast. And of course, we do offer streaming video for your church. As you go to streamingchurch.tv, you can find a little bit more about that. Coming up in November 14th, we're already almost into November here, and at 12 noon, we're going to do a webinar called Repurpose Your Sermon. What does that mean, Steve? How do you repurpose your sermon?
Well, I think most pastors and staff focus their week on preparing and then delivering the sermon, and then they start the hamster wheel again and start for the next week's sermon. So this is a way to leverage the sermon that you've done. Hopefully you've recorded that sermon, and we've got some new tools in the streaming church world that will allow you to repurpose that sermon, either create segments or clips from the sermon for posting on social media. And we're going to be introducing a new feature that will allow you to create daily devotions automatically from your sermon in your pastor's voice, leveraging some AI tools.
That's cool.
So
that's November 14th.
November 14th, and possibly some other ideas that you can do on your own as well.
Yeah. And you can sign up for that, not today. Well, maybe later today. If people go to webinar.streamingchurch.tv, we haven't set it up yet, but we will probably later today if you want to sign up for that. All right.
Yep.
That's good stuff. All right. Do you have any questions? Time for a little Q&A. Let's see if we can stump Michael. Anybody have any questions about this package?
Everybody's kind of quiet today.
Looking here to see.
I do have a question. Maybe I can.
What's up,
Michael? Is you talked about the sermon series, and if I'm one of those churches, which is probably in the minority, where I've already planned my series for the year or for the next few months. And can I do this? Is this package useful to me, or if I don't have the
good question
sermon, if I can't fit the sermon series into it?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to necessarily do a sermon series. You can do internal marketing. So you hopefully you have a newsletter. Hopefully you have social media, maybe even, I didn't mention text. Hopefully some of you have text marketing that you can do internal. You may have an app that has notifications. You could do a every other day Bible study on why it's important to be a person who invites others to church. You don't have to give them the whole gospel presentation. All you're doing is asking a friend, family member to come to church, be my guest for church, and then the pastor's going to do the job of presenting the gospel in amazing ways. But the other thing, maybe you're already an amazing inviting church. They're killing it. So all you need to do is just get them stoked and excited and pumped up and ready to go, and then provide them with all of these resources. Provide them with all of that digital marketing ahead of the time when they're asking, so that they're getting yes, more than 57% of the time. I guarantee you, if you do this process and do it well, you'll be well into the 70 to 80% yes, because people will have decided already. I would be willing to go to that if somebody invited me.
You know, as you all are fond of reminding me, I'm a little bit older, and I can remember the days back in the 70s and even the 80s where we could go door to door, knock on doors, and people would actually invite us in, and we could invite them to church and talk to them.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is not really the case today in most situations. In fact, I even
Nope.
remember when we were doing Ironwood Hills, Steve, you remember that at a
Oh,
live
yeah.
church, and we did that campus and we walked the area, and that was late 90s. People wouldn't answer their door. You know, I think we ended up putting door hangers in. So these tools, my point about this is these tools are a great way to reach people. They may not open their door to you anymore and have a discussion with you anymore like they used to back in the old days, but they can see this on social media. They can see it in different avenues that they get. Whether, you know, we talk about radio or TV or other things. These tools are really valuable. They're a great way to reach people because at least in the areas that I live, nobody will answer their door anymore. So, and you can't blame them when they see me, right? I mean, they're like, they're not going to answer the door.
That's people. I feel that is a huge intrusion. If you're ringing my doorbell, you better be delivering a brown package or something, because I don't want to see you at my door unless I know you and you're my friend.
Yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way, at least in the culture in the United States, that's the way it's coming. So these are great tools. And again, just go to streamingchurch.tv/toolkit, and you get this for free. We're going to wrap up this webinar right now, unless there's any other questions. I don't see anything right off the hand, but we do want to let you know that we're available. If you have any questions at all, you can always send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv, and we'll be glad to help you with these tools. All right. So good enough. Anything else, guys?
There's another question there, and I really want to answer it.
All right, go ahead, answer it.
Yeah. So Eric asked, we just moved to a Saturday night service at a new location. Each time we move, we lose attendees. And so now he's saying, have our church members take ownership and invite their friends. Yes. And I know this about my community. Multiple churches in this town in the last 2 years have stopped their Saturday night service. So there's a chance in your community it's the same way. You could be the only one that offers Saturday night services. So if you did a small amount of marketing, $50 on social media, just saying, invite people to Saturday night service. There's so many people that would go Saturday night because they have to work Sunday. It opens up a huge opportunity. You just got to get it in front of the people who are looking for it, and invites and small amounts of marketing can make a giant difference.
Yeah, they certainly can. Absolutely. And again, we're available to help you if any of those other questions. Maybe you're watching this recorded wise and you still have questions after watching the recording 6 weeks later. Just send us an email, support@streamingchurch.tv. Okay, we're done here, folks. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today on this webinar. And again, you go to streamingchurch.tv/toolkit, and you can check out the toolkit and all the resources in there. Thank you, Michael Gray, for the really hosting this for the most part. We appreciate you very much.
Always a pleasure. Love it.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
And guys, will you be sending out a link for the recording?
Yes. We'll be sending that out, Eric. Thank you for reminding us. Hey, you're very welcome. We're glad that you're here.
Got in late, so I want to see the whole thing. So I really appreciate you guys putting this on.
You betcha.
We appreciate you being here, and we're happy to do it. We love helping churches. That's what we do. So, all right, guys.
That's obvious.
Well, thank you very much. All right, guys. Have yourself a great day. God bless.